Hey Fury fam, this is your boy Larry K, man. I'm going to do a more in-depth video just, recapping the season, my thoughts on it, this game, with statistics and just a little bit of a deeper dive a little later tonight or tomorrow. But I did want to just touch base with you guys right after the game. Miami goes down in a heartbreaking loss to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round of the playoffs, 34-31. I think a lot of people, the spread was 13 and some odd points. I think a lot of people thought this would be a blowout. I honestly thought it would probably be a blowout. I was wrong. But nonetheless, Miami does get sent home, and it's kind of a fitting end to kind of a up and down, kind of heartbreaking season for the Miami Dolphins and their fans. We were 8-3 mid-season. We were on a roll. We looked like we might, contend for the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, the AFC East. Instead, we barely squeak in with the 7th seed, which is what left us at the end of the day, going to Buffalo on Wild Card weekend and having to play on the road in a tough environment, which is just never going to be easy. Nonetheless, we showed some guts, we showed some fight, and we made it a game that we could have won, and we could have gotten past Buffalo, and we could have advanced in the playoffs. And I think it would have been really nice, but of course that didn't happen. You had a lot of drops in this game, a lot of key drops where the play design was good. The quarterback threw it well, and it was right in guys' hands, and they dropped it. You had a lot of good catches and a lot of good plays by the wide receivers in various skill positions too. But when you calculate the drops, I mean, Miami might have ran away with this game, might have won this game by 12, 14 points if there wasn't all those drops. So kind of an interesting way to go about things. Skylar Thompson, look, his stats don't pop out at you. His stats don't look great. Part of that's drops. Part of that's other issues. He threw some costly picks. He just did. He's a rookie. That being said, if we're being honest with ourselves here, Skylar, again, there's some intangible there where the kid's just tough, and he's a rookie on a tough road environment in a wild card playoff game, and playoffs were on the line last week against the Jets, and he goes in and he makes it a game, and he makes it something you could possibly win. And I know there were reports out earlier today, Adam Schefter, and this is nothing new. I told you guys this is what would happen with Tua. They're saying, the reports are, and Schefter's a fairly accurate, insider who doesn't normally report what's not been confirmed to the best of his ability. He says, look, Tua Tagovailoa is coming back, and he's QB1 for the Dolphins next year. Now, I told you guys that this was going to be the case. As soon as Tua got a concussion, I told you, and I was called conspiracy theorist. No, as soon as he got the concussion, it was the worst thing that could happen for the Dolphins in terms of certainty. Because if he doesn't get the concussion, then he has to play the end of the season and maybe the playoffs. And if he loses against the Jets or he doesn't do well in the playoffs, then we have our answer that Tua's probably not the guy. But the concussion means we can just run it back next year and say, he just has to stay healthy. And people forget about his late season struggles. They forget that defenses had him figured out in December. They forget how bad he was against San Francisco and LA and the second half of Houston with any kind of pressure. And they forget how much he struggled. And they just go right to, he's just got to stay healthy and he's good. But I'll tell you this, the way Skylar played, I don't see why Skylar shouldn't get a legitimately fair shot at competing for the starting job next year, number one. And number two, I don't know why you don't bring in another veteran with starting experience, be it Carr, Brady, Minshew, and have all three of them just have a wide open, honest competition instead of just giving Tua the job out of hand. Because Skylar showed moxie in this game, and he's shown it down the stretch. And he's got certain attributes like physicality and frame and a high ceiling, which he's only a rookie, a late-round rookie that really didn't get starting snaps all year, where he might have something. But I'm not saying he's the answer or anything. I'm just saying it is what it is. I will say it's kind of fitting that we lost the way we did. McDaniel, I'll say this to start off. I think McDaniel, I was iffy on him as the season collapsed around us. I still think there's some issues with McDaniel, but I'll say this. He definitely deserves, and he's coming back, but he definitely deserves to come back next year, and we deserve to give him another shot next year. I say that because the team played so well, I wouldn't say well. They played so tough for him today. They played their heart out. They played their guts out. He was able to scheme up some things that didn't click because of drops and some other things that did click that kept the game close. He deserves to be back next year. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he shakes up the staff, if he shakes up things on the defensive side, what other things he does, and how he comes out of it. But it's fitting that he's still got a lot of learning to do. It's fitting the way we lost. You have a 4th and 1. You have a big quarterback who can run. Line the ball up and quarterback sneak it, or line the ball up and hand the ball off in I formation and get your ass a first down. As has been the case all year with this guy, end of the game or serious, play, he doesn't even get the play in, and that was a problem all game. It was a problem all season with this guy getting the plays in. He just can't do it for some reason. Get the play in, number one. Number two, he doesn't get the play in. Not only that on 4th and 1, but the play he did call on 4th and 1 was a shotgun outside run. An outside run out of shotgun. Just not the right play, man. Line up and just get the first down. Stop playing games. He's got too cute too many times this year, and that time it cost him because now not only was the play terrible, it wouldn't have worked anyway. Not only that, he's backed up five yards. Now it's 4th and 6, and he runs the same tight end out pattern that he runs every 3rd and something. A tight end out route. Now that throw was perfect to Gesicki right on his chest. Gesicki was in position. There was, I think, interference. His arm was being caught up by the defender there. They're not going to call it that late in the game. They're not going to call it against Buffalo the way it is at home. Wasn't going to happen. When games are decided or partially decided on calls, it is what it is. The end when Buffalo, Singletary got the spot, terrible call. He didn't get the first down, terrible call. But it is what it is. Buffalo did just enough to win. It was a hard-fought game. Bills Mafia gets to move on to the next game. I think they're going to see some formidable competition because we gave them a run for their money. And Josh Allen, man, he's mistake prone. He makes mistakes. He causes turnovers sometimes for his team. So it'll be interesting to watch the Bills go to the next round, especially after having to go up against us in such a tough, hard-fought game. We'll see what they do. But it is what it is. Miami limped into the playoffs, and then we wound up with a first-round exit, which we've done. Every time we've made the playoffs over the last 20 or so years, we've wound up with a first-game exit. And until we actually become legitimate contenders, we are going to be lucky to just make the playoffs and have a first-round exit. You can take a moral victory all you want. You can be hyped up that we played okay against the Bills. But just because we were expected to lose, and we didn't lose by that much, doesn't mean the season is a success. The season is not a success. The season was a failure. You wanted to contend for the Super Bowl. You wanted to be able to win a playoff game. And at the end of the day, we barely limped into the playoffs on the last game against the Jets with Joe Flacco, and then we lost in the first round again. So it's a failure of a season. Don't get it twisted. You can have celebrations if you want, but this was a failure. And we're going to have to make some serious changes. Now, I'd be, again, interested to see if we bring in any competition at quarterback, and if we don't, I'd be interested to see if Slylar gets a legitimate chance and a legitimate opportunity to compete against Tua. Because the narrative that Tua, but for the injury, would have been great is simply a false narrative. And I know it's being spun by Big O, and I know it's being spun by Barry Jackson, and I know it's being spun by every Dolphins organization mouthpiece in the media, but this is real talk, this channel, and the fact is Tua struggled down the stretch even before his injury. And we need to figure it out. Skylar Thompson gave us a fighting chance. So that is what it is. And his throws were good. He had some interceptions. And that's going to happen with rookies. So did Josh Allen. Josh Allen had 3 turnovers. So tough loss for us. Tough season that started off with so much promise. Just like this game started off midway through anyway with so much promise. And it ends. Fitting way to end the season, man. Fitting way to just go down. It is what it is. I'll see you guys soon with a more comprehensive video in the actual studio, either later tonight or tomorrow. Until then, man, fins up, and we'll start talking about the off season once again. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Later.